We begin with the perception that the county commissioners no longer want to play a role in maintaining and repairing bridges in Allen County. The fact, the county commissioners plan to relinquish sole funding responsibility for bridges less than 200 feet and within incorporated cities and towns to those communities. Though the communities would be the final authority over their bridges, that does not mean the county would no longer plan to play any role in maintaining and repairing those bridges as long as a method to fund that work is in place. The county will continue to upkeep the bridges that are more than 200 feet in length or are in unincorporated areas of Allen County. Another perception, the county commissioners are leaving it completely to cities and towns to come up with a plan to fund bridge repair and maintenance. In fact, while final decisions on funding bridge maintenance will be made by the individual cities and towns, the county commissioners have indicated their desire to meet with representatives to discuss ways in which a funding mechanism can be established. In addition, the commissioners continue to meet with the already established Bridge Task Force made up of representatives of the cities and towns to seek its input. Perception. The county commissioners acted too quickly in sending out a letter to city and town officials informing them of their intent to relinquish sole funding responsibility for bridge repair and maintenance while discussions were ongoing. Fact, discussions about the possibility of the county relinquishing sole funding responsibility took place with towns and cities through the Bridge Task Force months before the letter was sent out. The letter was sent out well in advance of January 1st, 2009 effective date in order to give cities and town officials sufficient time to work on their plans for making sure their bridges were taken care of. To have delayed sending out the letter, even while folks are still ongoing, would have caused communities to scramble finding a plan for maintaining their bridges by January 1st.
It leads us to another perception that the money dedicated to Maple Crest Road Extension project should be reallocated by county commissioners to pay for bridge maintenance and repairs. The fact is that both the $11 million of the federal funding and major bridge revenues which have been pledged for Maple Crest cannot be diverted for different uses. Perception, the county commissioners were short-sighted when they voted in September 2002 to end the property tax fund dedicated to financing bridge repairs and maintenance. The fact is, dwindling tax revenues and increasing costs in the criminal justice system have been taking a toll on the county budget for a number of years. In 2002, the county reluctantly took the step of terminating the cumulative bridge fund in order to keep the county fiscally solvent. Perception.
Let me just talk about this graph real quick. Part of the reason that we're before you tonight is really what has led us to this point, and that is when you look at the increase in public safety costs borne by the county versus the revenue that's lost to annexation, you see on that graph a huge, huge gap. For instance, if you go back to 1999, I think that graph will show that the cost of law enforcement for Allen County, including the jail, the courts, the prosecutor's office, Wood Youth Center, and a number of those facilities, cost the county $34,362,548. The 2008 budget was $60,559,382, almost an increase of 100% since that time. Meanwhile, if you go back to the Pine Valley annexations and some of the other things that have occurred since that time, the county has lost CEDAT revenue, COET revenue, motor vehicle highway funding, local road and street funding, wheel surtax revenue, and dare I say riverboat wagering tax share, to the tune of about $6 million. So when you look at an increase of some $25 million for the criminal justice side of things and a decrease in $6 million of revenue in which to fund those things, you end up with the gap that you see up on that chart.
That brings us to our last point as far as perception. Cumulative Bridge Fund was the sole source of funding for maintenance and repair of bridges between 20 and 200 feet. Even with the Cumulative Bridge Fund, the fact is, even with the Cumulative Bridge Fund, the county had issued bonds in 1978, 1980, 1984, and 1990 to rehabilitate or replace 34 bridges. These bond issues total over $16 million. More recently, CEDAT has provided the supplemental funding for bridge repair and maintenance. 3 options of funding bridge maintenance are currently being considered. One is to bond for all bridge repair and maintenance. However, House Bill 1001 that was recently approved by the Indiana General Assembly makes this a difficult option to undertake. Another option is for cities and towns to close. Another option is for cities and towns to close unnecessary bridges and divert the funds to high-priority bridges. Not a popular option for communities. The third and most likely option is to seek an increase in the wheel tax surtax user fee. The resulting revenue would be used solely for bridge repair and maintenance, and I might add would take it off of property tax and get it to a specific vehicle-oriented user fee. This time we'd be happy to take any questions from council members.